Greetings, friends. My name is Charles Q. Banks, and I'd like to welcome you to the Anime Corner. I call it the Anime Corner because it is literally the only place in my room, my book den, that one may find any Japanese or anime related materials. As you can see, I have a Gundam ship here, a little Gundam figure. I also have some manga from Trigun, Persona, um, etc., etc., Log Horizon. I have a little Umaru figurine I'm very proud of. I love her. Um, and on my left, you can see um, I have Asuna from Sword Art Online, the Mother's Rosario arc, where she has her elf ears and all that. Don't take this to mean that just because I have an Asuna figurine that I am in love with Sword Art Online. Um, I see many flaws in that show, and it's enjoyable. I actually liked watching it when I first did. It was one of the first anime I ever saw, and I had some nice root beer rum mixture with me. I was drinking, and some nice snacks. So it was an overall enjoyable experience. But Sword Art Online is pretty iffy as a show. There's lots superfluous to it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Um, I don't have much of this type of stuff, even though I am an anime enthusiast, and that's what I would like to be partially known for, at least. But I am not an anime otaku, and I'd like to make a strong line of separation between those two, because an otaku is someone who goes out and spends immediately. You see what you like, and you take it before you're able to uh, convince yourself to do otherwise. And that is not me. I would rather save my money for practical things, first and foremost, rather than anime, which is not impractical. It keeps the human soul alive. It keeps my soul alive. And as you can tell, I actually really love anime. Whenever I start a new anime, which may turn out to be a good one, if it looks good, it just sends a thrill through my entire body, especially my brain, that translates into a simply ecstatic experience, which continues for some hours, sometimes days, after I have had the said viewing experience. The duration of these ecstasies depend on the degree of quality or caliber of a show or film, as well as how much that show appeals to me personally. So it's not like everything I watch is just an ecstatic vision, but most of the time it is. You can be a discerning adult and watch anime, which is something strange to my community, the community that I frequent, which is basically just the Christian community. Anyone who goes to church, usually it is rare to find anyone there who actually likes anime. It's more popular these days in America than it ever has been, and that means that it's getting more popular even in the Christian community, but not nearly to the level to which I think it deserves to be recognized as just another medium or just another part of how art is represented in the world. And I know that many Christians have a stigma, a negative way of viewing anime, mainly because of the negative anime that are out there, the more pornographic in nature, or just the more childish, those that are usually found on Saturday morning cartoons. Not to say that all Saturday morning cartoon anime are bad, but that they usually do not have the level of caliber that I'm talking about, of quality, or of super interesting premises or plot points, things that adults can actually get into. Um, I too shared that misunderstanding, that view of anime that was either it was children's cartoons or lewd cartoons for deranged adults. Um, And I kept that in my mind basically throughout my entire life until about the age of 18, which was, um, well, maybe 19, not sure, 5 or 6 years ago. I'm 25 now, so yeah, it was probably almost 7 years ago that I met a friend who is now my best friend, who was an anime enthusiast like I am now. I have actually surpassed him in my love of anime, actually, as does happen sometimes with masters and students. But I was reintroduced to anime in a new light by this friend who spoke about anime in the same way which one would speak of high art or visual art, things you would find in museums. He spoke with the same critical tone and tenor that's an adult would speak of high-minded art. And this kind of revolutionized my way of thinking about anime, and he is the one who really introduced me to one of my favorite anime, Attack on Titan, um, Steins Gate, another one of my favorite anime, and Trigun, and that is probably my favorite anime, just subjectively, apart from any other considerations, other than my own personal preference. But yeah, my life would never be the same again. These shows contained almost none of that sexual overtone or childish mindset that I would have expected from an anime experience. And they weren't aimed at younger, unintelligent audiences. In America, we have this habit of if it's geared towards children, then it has to be stupid or unintelligent content so that they can get into it. And that shouldn't be the case at all. But they don't really have that same value. It's not really a value. It's not valued in my perspective, but they don't have that in Japan. There is violence, usually. Violence is in a lot of anime, and I partially appreciate that because there is violence in human life in multiple ways, not just blood and action and warfare, but it anime can speak to a darker part of the human heart and give hope to it in the same way that I felt from Attack on Titan, a show where people are hemmed in on every side like sheep ready for the slaughter, and yet there are people in their midst that are um, desiring freedom, and it reveals this deeper aspect of the human heart that needs to be free and fights against all odds. The classic Cinderella story or the underdog story is very popular in anime, and that's part of what I love about it is it can address adult themes in ways that adults can truly, at least I, as an adult, 25, not quite the adult yet, young adult. Um, so, anyway, but there's not really a whole lot of gore in these shows that I have talked about. They not necessarily shy away from violence, but there is no gore that you would find in a lot of American modern TV shows that you can see on like HBO or Netflix these days. Um, so now that I knew how great anime could be, and how exaggerated and rampant the negative view of anime is in Christian culture, I wanted to let people to know that there is actually a sizable amount of great anime out there, and some of which have impacted me on a spiritual level. I would even say that some of them helped me grow in my relationship with God. Because for every Christian, every part of your life should be connected with your life in God. So now I bring my Christian theological views and mindset with me into every viewing experience, and I think everyone should do that. With a name, and I do it with a name of like an understanding the human nature behind the art, the human philosophies, morals, and mindsets that people have, uh, of their authors and of their nation, and who they're aimed at and directed to, and not just accepting everything about them, but being critically minded and discerning as to the content. So, um, yeah, my friend and I actually proved by numbers, going down a list of all of the shows that he and I have almost all the shows that we both have watched, and proved by numbers that there are more morally acceptable anime out there than there are shows just riddled with fan service that we've seen. And this was basically because we both were very discerning in what we watched. We looked at the rating on myanimelist.net, I believe. I'm not sure if it's .com or .net right now. I'm kind of blanking out there, but there is a website called My Anime List, and on it you can find like an Americanized rating, like PG-13, 14 plus, R, T, T for teen, things like that, and that was really helpful. Looking for reviews is really the best way to get into anime. Find ones that are critically acclaimed, and then find ones that are both critically acclaimed and morally acceptable. And there is a great swath, I guess that's a good word, I'm not sure, a good grouping, handful, large handful, like god handful of anime out there that have both of those, fit both of those criteria. But yeah, that proves to you that you don't have to be a disgusting pervert in order to love anime, as a lot of people think you do. And too few people know this in the Christian community. This has a practical effect on my life, in that I am now quite lonely as an anime enthusiast. I'm a Christian anime enthusiast, and I kind of want to become a the Christian anime reviewer, the anime Christian, if so to speak. So I started a blog and have written about 6 blogs aimed at shows I have watched. Erased was my first one, and then Danmachi. Uh, is it okay to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? I also did Konosuba. I'm not finished with that. I want to write more on that. And now a series of blogs on Akame ga Kill, which I am currently writing as I am currently watching the show. It's not a current show airing now, but it's, a few years old, and a lot of people liked it at the time. It was very popular, but it waned in popularity. I've heard a lot of bad critique on it, and so I wanted to watch it myself and give it my old college try as a reviewer. The link to that blog will be in the description. So, after seeing some encouraging videos from a lot of different reviewers on YouTube about what they do and how they do it, I have been convinced that doing anime reviews or vlogs on YouTube is not such a hard thing to do, and that I actually kind of want to do it. So, here I am, vlogging about anime. This is just kind of an introduction video to my future videos on YouTube on anime, so stay tuned for that. Visit my blog, visit my Patreon, and God bless, and sayonara. I call it the Anime Corner because it is the only corner of my room in which any anime or Japanese materials are actually visible. I don't